Nowadays, there's more ebooks in the world than there are funny cat videos on YouTube.
Cats, cats, and more cats!
But 10 to 15 years ago, ebooks were generally a little less popular, and it was pretty common at the time to see relatively unknown authors making 5 or even 6 figures from them, especially those ebooks aimed at the marketing and coding industries. When I launched my ebook, it made $50,000 in sales selling directly on my own website. So in this video, I'll break down my revenue, costs, as well as share the 8 lessons that I learned from the experience, most of which can be applied to creating and selling any digital or physical product. First though, I'm going to tell you the story about how I came up with the concept for the ebook. If you want to just get to the sales numbers and lessons learned, skip to the end. Otherwise, let's dive in.
Story time.
Back in 2008, I worked in a call center taking tech support calls from the elderly who needed help with their AOL dial-up internet connection, which, as you can imagine, was about as fun as sticking cornflakes in your ears. But luckily, we all lost our jobs, and so I began following my real passion, which is writing music in a dark, quiet room by myself. I wrote stock music, which is where you write a piece of music, upload it somewhere, and people will pay a fee to use it in their projects, similar to how it works with stock video or stock photos. A couple of years into composing for music libraries, I had a pretty good grasp of the industry and began to participate in a number of forums and on social media, often answering questions on the topic and even writing a few blog articles about it too. This resulted in me unknowingly identifying myself as an expert in the field, and I began to receive emails daily from other composers asking me questions or for advice. Whoops. At the time, I'd become aware of other people in other industries launching ebooks like Nathan Barry, owner of ConvertKit, who wrote the App Design Handbook, and it got me thinking, could I create my own digital product in the form of an ebook and answer the questions so many people had, while also creating a new, potentially passive income stream for myself? So I got to work. As I really struggled with imposter syndrome, and because I knew I needed to validate the product before I even started creating it, I needed a way to ensure that it was something people actually wanted and would pay for. So I did 3 things that really helped me with the validation phase.
Do you need validation?
I made a mock-up of the ebook, bought a domain, and used a free service called LaunchRock to build a quick and easy email sign-up form where I could direct users to so they could enter their email address and get notified when I had a product ready. Next, I posted on social media asking if it was something people would be interested in, what questions they'd like to have answered, and to sign up if they want to get notified and get a discount when it was launched. I emailed everyone who had previously emailed me asking about music licensing and the stock music industry, and asked if they had any other questions and if they'd like to read a book on the topic if I made one. Within 1 week, I had 300 subscribers who had signed up to be notified of the launch. It successfully validated that people would be interested in the product when it was ready, and the cost of validation was $0, just my time. Now I had validated the idea, I began making the product. When deciding what to include in the ebook, I jotted down all the questions I'd received from other composers, musicians, producers, and tried to identify the categories that these all fell into. Also, and this is pretty important, I reached out to all the people who signed up via email in the validation phase and asked what they'd like to see in the ebook. This was really important because the feedback that you get from early adopters can sometimes be some of the most valuable feedback that you get. I condensed the topics and questions into chapters, and now it's just a case of starting to fill out each chapter. I continually shared the chapter breakdown on social media, asking for feedback on what else people would like to see included in it, and after a month of writing in my spare time, I had my first draft completed. I did a few rounds of editing, then passed it over to a designer to convert it into a nice looking ebook. During this phase, I continued promoting on my social media that I was writing the ebook and directed people to be signed up to be notified when it was released. At the end of this, I amassed over 2,100 subscribers who wanted to be notified when the ebook was ready. Now that the product was ready, it was time to prepare for launch, so I only did 2 things in this phase. I set up the final version of the website, so I got a nice simple website template, hired someone to help me edit the website to suit my book, and then I imported my subscribers from LaunchRock into MailChimp, created a pretty basic email template. Now I was ready for launch. In the words of Snoop Dogg, it was time to drop it like it was hot. So let's start with the results first. The ebook was priced at $9.99 on launch and was later raised to $14.99 and then $24.99. In the first month of release, the ebook made just over $10,000 in sales, and then a further $15,000 in sales spread evenly throughout the rest of the year. The majority of the sales in the first few weeks came from my email list that I built up in the validation phase, and the rest then came from word of mouth, social media, and posting on some niche forums related to music. I initially priced the ebook at $9.99 on release, then later increased it to $14.99 and eventually to $24.99 after feedback from buyers that it should have been priced higher. Honestly, I wish that I priced it higher from the start, as it would have dramatically increased my revenue overall. Over the course of 4 years, my income broken down year by year looked like this. So as you can see, sales in year 1 were obviously the highest, and it dropped by around 50% year on year after that. After year 4, the sales have basically dropped down to a couple every few months due to the lack of long-term marketing and the introduction of other competing products in the same space. So this shows that the majority of my initial sales came from my efforts in the pre-launch phase of collecting emails and building the email list. This is also what I've seen with other ebooks and digital products of mine, where the customers in the pre-launch phase are the easiest to convert and the most likely to purchase. After the initial launch phase was complete, I didn't do any more email marketing to the list, and the rest of the sales came from word of mouth, referrals from blogs and SEO, but eventually all of those dropped off to almost zero. My total cost for the entire product and the whole launch were as follows. The domain was $10, website template was $9, developer to help with the setup of the website was about $250, ebook design cost $400, which I could have done a lot cheaper in hindsight. I did Facebook marketing for $120, MailChimp cost $50 during the launch, and of course my time. I spent around a month of my spare time working on this in the evenings and the weekends, and then a few days of marketing once the ebook was launched. So the total costs were $839 in total costs, $2,500 in PayPal fees, total profit of $46,661. So here's what marketing I did during the launch phase. Email. In the first month, my email marketing plan was to email everyone, remove them from the list if they purchased, then email again after 5 days. Then email again 1 week later, one more week later, and then when it was 72 hours left. Almost 50% of the list purchased using this method within the first month. Facebook ads. So at the time, Facebook had trialed a feature that allowed you to show an advert to your friends and friends of friends. So I used that really successfully to boost the ad to my own friends, all of whom were composers and producers, and their friends who were also composers and producers. Unfortunately, this was a temporary feature that Facebook killed faster than a sneeze in a library. I also continued posting on my social media to a pretty small following. I reached out to as many blogs and reviewers as I could find, asking them to write about the release and offering them review copies. That was it. Looking back, one of the easiest actions that I should have done that really stands out is I should have set up a blog on the website, take content from the ebook and repurpose it into more digestible content, which then would be used as a traffic source from Google, resulting in more sales from the organic traffic. I also could have set up retargeting ads for anyone who visited the website that didn't purchase, but it wasn't something I was aware of at the time. So what did I learn from all this? Well, if you saw some of my business failures in years following this, you could say I probably learned nothing.
You fool!
But looking back, there was a number of valuable lessons to be taken from the experience, which can be pretty much applied to any product in any industry. Yes, validating a business idea is as much fun as listening to James Blunt on repeat, but it's the best way to not waste time developing something that people don't want, and also to get early adopters. The easiest and quickest way to validate your idea is email signups. The most difficult but strongest form of validation is getting users to prepay before it's even ready. Focusing on email signups is a quick validation process that will also provide you with your most interested initial customers. If you don't have a large network or a lot of followers on social media, Facebook groups, forums, and Discord channels can be a great way to garner your initial interest and build your audience. Most, but not all, digital products have a typical sales lifetime. Don't expect that sales will last forever. Most of your sales will come from your initial marketing push, and how well you continue to market after that point will decide how long your sales will last for. I didn't do much after my initial sales burst, so naturally my sales dropped off steadily over time. If I was doing it now, I'd build more of a long-term strategy using SEO, writing articles on my own blog, using a tool like SEMrush to find topics that will bring in traffic naturally. Give customers a way to try it out. This is really important. If it's software, make a demo. If it's an ebook, give them the first chapter for free. And don't forget, your free content or demo is a marketing tool. Once you have their email address, you can add them into an email sequence and funnel them towards an eventual purchase. You don't need to spend a lot of money. There's so many great tools and platforms nowadays that you really don't need to spend a ton of money. There's so many great tools and You don't need to spend a lot of money. There's so many great tools and platforms nowadays that you really don't need to spend a ton of money for publishing, marketing, design. You can use Upwork to hire people, Canva to do design yourself, ConvertKit or MailChimp for email marketing, e-commerce, Squarespace or Shopify for your website, TikTok for marketing. If you want to develop cloud-based software, you can even use something like Bubble.io to make it without any knowledge of coding. Word of mouth is the best form of marketing, and those customers who come to your website through word of mouth will convert the highest by far. So try to encourage your existing customers to spread the word to their friends. After word of mouth, email marketing is probably going to give you the highest ROI overall. According to Overload, there was 333 billion emails sent in 2022, and that's because the average ROI on each $1 spent in email marketing is $40. So generally speaking, if you're selling a digital product, your number one focus should be email marketing. You don't really need a fancy email template, often basic text works really well too. No income stream is entirely passive. You either spend a lot of time upfront and make the money on the back end, or spend time afterwards maintaining that income stream. It's easier to reduce your prices than to increase your prices. I should have increased the price of my product by double, and if I had have, I would have had to get half as many sales. So there you have it. Hopefully you learned something useful in the video. Catch you in the next video.